From filmmaker Steve Miner comes the infamous third installment in the Friday the 13th franchise, showcasing a slew of hilariously distracting 3D effects, an absolutely bizarre cast of characters, and the on-screen debut of Jason Voorhees' most iconic look. Let's take a look at Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. In Friday the 13th Part 3, the chilling narratives unfold in Higgins Haven, a property nestled in the Crystal Lake area, not too far from Camp Crystal Lake itself, as well as the doomed summer training camp seen in Part 2. Plot-wise, director Steve Miner chose to stay somewhat close to the narrative format of its predecessors, and I feel that's where this film finds its comfortable yet eerie footing, perhaps slightly more captivating than in Part 2, but not by a wide margin. A group of friends seeks a nice long weekend in the apparent tranquility of Higgins Haven, completely oblivious to the nightmares that have previously gripped the nearby locales, and completely unaware that Jason Voorhees himself will also be a guest at Higgins Haven for this very doomed weekend.
Look, you guys, I want you to have a good time this weekend. What happened to me at the lake happened a long time ago. I'm fine, really, okay? Just forget about me.
Oh, I'm supposed to forget that we've been friends for...
Ah! God damn it, Shirley. Why do you always have to be such an asshole?
I beg your pardon. I'm not an asshole. I'm an actor.
This narrative choice crafts a foreboding atmosphere where the weight of the past hangs heavily, entwining the fates of these unwitting newcomers with the malevolent force that stalks the lake's vicinity. Jason Voorhees.
Don't look at him. Let's just get the hell out of here.
We heard screaming. Oh, my God. Oh, is he dead? Don't touch him, Andy.
Don't move him.
You
Creep.
Oh, my God.
Get up.
I guess I fooled you, huh?
Sure.
Chris, leave him alone. He doesn't know any better.
It was a joke.
In the early developmental stages of Friday the 13th Part 3, there were considerable shifts in script and casting. Initially, the script portrayed Ginny, from the previous sequel, being confined to a psychiatric hospital where Jason Voorhees hunts her down, a plotline that eventually changed significantly due to Steele's refusal of the role owing to other commitments. Screenwriter Ron Kurtz rejected the offer to draft the screenplay, leading to the hiring of Martin Kitrosser and Carol Watson to undertake the task. Their draft was further modified by Petru Popescu to enhance its menacing aspect. An iconic element introduced in Part 3 was Jason's mask, which replaced the bag he wore over his head in Part 2, establishing a trademark look that became instantly recognizable globally.
Hey, I dropped your wallet. I'm sorry. What are you doing?
Casting focused heavily on appearances this time around, with significant divergences between Popescu's vision and the ensemble assembled by director Steve Miner. The main cast featured Dana Kimmell as Chris Higgins, Paul Kratka as Rick, Tracy Savage as Debbie, Larry Zerner as Shelley, Catherine Parks as Vera, and Richard Brooker embodying Jason Voorhees himself. The filming process marked a notable endeavor into 3D technology, involving two 3D Epix cameras leased from Marks Polarized Corporation by Paramount Pictures, the first instance of the company venturing into 3D since 1954. Challenges in adapting to the available 3D technology led to delays and influenced performance directions that prioritized 3D effects over acting nuances. The filming took place primarily at the Valuze Movie Ranch in California, a departure from the series' previous East Coast locations. During a lighting test on set, the idea to outfit Jason Voorhees with the iconic hockey mask emerged. Martin Sadoff, the film's 3D effects guru and a hockey enthusiast, introduced a Detroit Red Wings goalie mask. Director Steve Miner was smitten with the mask, but testing revealed it was too snug for Richard Brooker's face. Thanks to a method called vacuform, makeup effects expert Doug White scaled up the mask and crafted a fresh mold. Once the process was completed, Terry Ballard added distinct red triangles to distinguish it from other hockey masks. Richard Brooker had 2 facial prosthetics to wear beneath the hockey mask. One comprised roughly 11 pieces, taking about 6 hours to set upon Brooker's face, used for scenes without the hockey mask. For scenes with the hockey mask, a simpler full-head mask was designed, revealing only Brooker's face. In this installment, a significant evolution manifests, a transformation that redefines horror iconography for generations to come. Yes, I am referring to the birth of what we've come to know as classic Jason Voorhees. In this chapter, we witness the assembly of that iconic attire, a dark green shirt paired with gray, or shall we say beige, pants that seems to blend seamlessly with the malevolent surroundings of Camp Crystal Lake. But the crown jewel of this attire remains the hockey mask, an item so simple, yet it heralds the transformation of Jason into an icon, a figure whose very appearance sends shivers down our spine. This attire not just outfits Jason, it crafts the silhouette of a horror legend, engraving the terrifying image into the annals of horror film history. This aesthetic choice resonates profoundly, shaping a visual language that speaks of unrestrained terror, a relentless force personified as classic Jason Voorhees. But let's address the biggest elephant in the room, the aforementioned experimentation with 3D visuals. In an era where 3D was relatively novel and filmmakers were experimenting with this technology, Friday the 13th Part 3, in 3D, ventured to bring a third dimension to the horror. However, I find this choice more distracting than immersive. The 3D elements seem forced, not naturally blending with the scenes, but rather sticking out like sore thumbs, pulling you out of the immersive, horrifying experience rather than drawing you in deeper. It seems more like a novelty, a gimmick that hasn't aged well, detracting from the gritty realism that a horror flick of this nature demands. This is where I find the film stumbling, trying to balance between pioneering technology and narrative cohesion, unfortunately not landing firmly on either ground. Despite this, the movie does manage to hold onto its core essence, the relentless pursuit, the heart-stopping moments of terror, and the utilization of a villain who would go on to haunt the nightmares of viewers for generations thereafter. The relentless pace, the eerie backdrop of Higgins Haven, and the continuing building of the lore around the terrifying figure of Jason Voorhees gives this film a place in the series that is slightly more endearing to me than that of Part 2. As I ponder upon the holistic experience of Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D, the film beckons to the horror aficionado in me, urging me to appreciate the birth of classic Jason, an iconic version of the franchise's masked madman, who would transcend this film to become synonymous with the horror genre itself. And as we close this chapter in the saga of Jason Voorhees, I think it's important to mention that the legacy of Friday the 13th Part 3 is a notable one, offering a narrative enriched with deeper horrors and amplified by the haunting atmosphere of Higgins Haven. and standing as a testament to a time of experimentation, both in technology and in carving out deeper narratives for the franchise, a snapshot of the evolution and the terrifying journey that is the Friday the 13th saga. It is a film with highs and lows, crafting moments that remain etched in the history of horror cinema, while also leaving room for growth and refinement within the franchise itself. In conclusion, Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D offers a slightly heightened sense of dread compared to its predecessor, where classic Jason takes a firm step into the annals of horror film history, brandishing his terrifying presence with an iconic attire and the relentless pursuit of his victims, marking a significant milestone in the franchise. It is here that the legend takes a more defined shape, etching the horrifying hockey-masked boogeyman in the minds of viewers. Friday the 13th Part 3 provides an experience that is slightly more nuanced and evolved than Part 2, and stands as a pivotal chapter in the lore of Jason Voorhees, a chapter where a legend finds his true face, a face that would haunt the dreams and screens of viewers for generations to come. With that said, Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D is satisfyingly spooky.